So the next day, I drive out to Galway, where you drive across the country, which takes like 3.5 hours to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. We go out there, some of the most beautiful land I've ever seen in my life. They got these fucking stone walls, dry stone wall, nothing holding them together other than the fucking brains of the person that figure out how to place each rock. Absolutely back-breaking work. Some of the walls are like 400 years old. And the driver's telling me all these great stories and all this shit. So I get out to Galway, and I get it in my head because I caught a cold at that point that I wanted to buy one of those Irish old man sweaters. An Aran sweater, A-R-A-N or something like that. They kept saying it sounded like they were saying iron, like I-R-O-N, or they just call them jumpers. It's like, well, you want to get a jumper or some shit? I thought they meant like a fucking raincoat. I'm like, no, one of those knitted fucking, I'm an Irish guy and I want to have a fucking drink or some shit, sit next to a boat. And they're like, yeah, jumper. So I go, all right. So I get in my head that I want to buy one of these fucking things. And so I'm like, all right, I'll do it the next morning before I go back to Dublin and then head over to England. So I go down to do my gig in, I can't remember the name of the fucking venue. And we were riding over and they just kept going, hey, just to let you know, this isn't the most fanciest venue and blah, 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 blah. And all I'm thinking of, like, there's no way this venue is worse than some of the shitholes I played on the way up. You know what I mean? Or some of the fucking places, the comedy condos I stayed in. And I showed up and the place was great. Tremendous theater. They were more talking about the dressing room because the dressing room was basically the men's room. But even that was fine. They put some carpet down. It wasn't bad. So I'm waiting to go on. And the act who's opening up for me, she's hilarious. What the fuck was her name? I already forget. Oh, God damn it. It was an Italian name, too. She was hilarious. I'm the worst. My apologies. It was typical road. Like, we've talked to each other for like 20 minutes and we'll, I don't know, not see each other again for like 5 years. So anyways, she says to me, she started telling me this story right before I go on stage as to how, like, back in the day, if you weren't married and you were a woman, what the fuck was her name? Adriana? I'm the worst. Anyways, she starts telling me that back in the day, if a woman got pregnant and she wasn't married, to save the embarrassment, they'd send them to this fucking place out there near Galway to basically have the baby. Then the church would take the baby, the woman would go back to the family, and there'd be no embarrassment. And then the baby would they'd make money off the baby by fucking giving it to some rich white people in America who wanted to adopt a white baby, right? But what happened was they had a ton of babies because evidently everybody over there was doing a lot of fucking and they weren't using any sheepskin, right? They didn't use their jumper and wrap it around their fucking dick, or maybe they did and the semen got through. I have no idea. So anyways, they had a ton of fucking babies and toddlers, and some of them were getting sick. And it was kind of a big secret thing. Everybody kind of knew, but nobody said shit. So evidently, when the babies died, they just fucking put them in like this. The comedian told me it was like a fucking, not an oil drum, like a, what if you had what do you call a big fucking thing that holds oil and it's underground? Big tank or some shit. Long story short, one time whenever they went to dig it up, whatever they put them in, they found a mass grave of 800 dead babies and toddlers. She tells me this fucking story, right? It's right before I'm going to go on. And then she laughs. She goes, have a great set, right? So, of course, that became the reference. The entire show was the dead babies that were out there because Tom Rhodes told me that if he could live anywhere in the world, Galway is where he wants to fucking be. That's where he would stay. And that guy's been literally around the world. So I'm going out there going, oh, this is going to be the most quaint fucking Irish fishing village ever. And it was. And right before I go on stage, of course, I got to hear about 800 dead fucking babies, right? So here's the kicker. Of course, anybody else who did that would be world famous for being the fucking worst person ever, right? Would make Hitler look like a jaywalker, But, of course, it was the Catholic Church, so there was really barely a fucking investigation. Nobody got in trouble. Nobody went to fucking jail. So that's what I learned when I was out there. And also that there's a beer out there called Galway Hooker. And I went out there and I proceeded to get so fucking hammered that the only picture I took of Galway was the fucking tap that you pull that says Galway Hooker. I had to kind of try and remember what it was. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Bill, you said you weren't going to drink a lot on this tour. Well, I caught a cold. So, you're supposed to drink a lot of liquids and flush it out of you. So, anyway, so the next day I wake up and, I don't know, I was kind of freaking out about having to drive all the way back to Dublin and then also having to go through customs to fucking then get into England and show my fucking papers and all of that shit, that I woke up and I just realized, I was like, I don't have time to buy that fucking sweater. It's an impulse fucking buy. I'll get one the next time I go there. And I probably just want to buy it, because I'm in Ireland and I'm drinking their beer and I'm getting all caught up in it. It's like you go to the Netherlands and all of a sudden you buy some fucking wooden shoes. What the fuck are you going to do with them? What do I need a fucking Irish knit sweater for? I live in a goddamn desert, right? Although it does get cold at night, all right? And here's the fucking worst thing. Do you know I haven't been able to stop thinking about it? And I'm like, you fucking asshole. So now I'm going on their website. I can't try it on. I can't see which sweater I look like the least amount of a douchebag in. And then their selection isn't as good. And I can't tell the story that I got it in Galway, Ireland, when, because if you have one of those sweaters and you wear them out in fucking L.A., you're just going to look like some fucking actory douche trying to dress his type to get a part in the next time they do the movie Departed. If I could actually be like, no, you hipster cunt, I actually bought that in Galway, Ireland when I did a gig out there. So go fuck yourself. By the way, do you know about the 800 dead babies? That would shut anybody down, But I didn't buy it, so I already have a fucking regret about that. But the upside is that just means that I have to go back and I have to buy one. And I'm not going online to fucking buy one. I'm going to go back to O'Malley's out there, and I'm going to fucking buy one next time I go out there. So thank you to everybody out in Ireland that came out to my shows. Thank you to Shane, my driver. Fucking drove like a fucking lunatic in a good way. Made all kinds of great moves to get me there and back. I've been having so much fun. I actually did a 2-hour show last night in Bristol. I apologize to the people in the crowd. I mean, as much as you like somebody to go a little bit long, that's too long to have people sitting there, so my apologies. So I get into Bristol. I stayed in this really cool inn, and it actually had a key. The name of my room was not a number. It was just somebody's name. It said Harvey's. They had all these weird names and shit, so you kind of had to remember what floor you were on. And I showed up, and it was this really cool-ass looking room, and they had left like a little piece of chocolate cake with some powdered sugar on it. And, old Freckles, I got a sweet tooth, so I'm like, fantastic. I sit down to eat it, and there's a bunch of little fucking ants all over it. It's fucking gross. So I had to take it, and I stuck it on the windowsill. I forgot to remove it when I went to go leave, so I hope the cleaning lady finds it. My apologies to whoever gets that room after me. If you get that room, it's Harvey's, and I left it out on the deck. It had this little deck area where you could sit down, and there was just fucking ants, and they were all over the plate, and I was blowing them off the plate, and I'm like, what am I doing? Now they're on the rug. Let's get this whole thing out of there. And there was so many of them. As I was carrying them, I was feeling them starting to climb on my hand, and I was just like, like running over to that little thing, trying to get it open, and I stuck it out there. So whatever, the ants loved me because I didn't kill any of them, and they all got a nice piece of cake.